The issue of migration is so multidimensional, and many times we're too quick to jump to the solution without clearly understanding what is the problem. Why is it a problem? To who is it a problem? To solve issues, we have to co-create, we have to listen, we have to collaborate, and only then can we reach solutions that will really make a difference for everyone involved.
So I come to know about the Lisbon Project as a couple of years ago when I was working on another course. I did some research and read about Lisbon Project and reached out and then went to one of the Family Friday, and that kind of added to my interest.
One of our board members at the Lisbon Project, Paulo Oliveira, is friends with Anne-Laure, the professor of this course, and so she connected us, and through that connection, through that relationship, we realized that we could really partner here to do something where not only it's an educational experience, but then there's real results and real impact at the end of the day.
It started as like a pilot and then turned into like curiosity, and now it's like really more of a relationship with like multiple other people being added and coming in and out, which I think is the beauty and richness of collaboration. Design thinking is a method or an approach to problem solving that is very deeply contextualized. So it assumes that you cannot come up with solutions if you don't understand what is the problem as experienced by people. Good ideas are good as long as they're meaningful to the people who are facing an issue or a problem. And so you need to get their input all along the process, and you need to be ready to iterate.
The course itself is very much a representation and embodiment of iteration. This was very important because it brought the problem directly to inside the room. And for students to really connect with someone that is going through the challenge that they are embracing was very important.
This course in particular is exploring one particular way of doing design thinking, which is participatory or co-creation, by engaging migrants that we call consultants who come and are part of the course and work with the students to co-create solutions.
I came in Portugal in November 2023. My husband came in a year earlier, and my children and myself joined him on family reunification.
I am a single mother of two beautiful daughters, and I've been living in Portugal from like 2 years now.
I've been here since 2022. I have come with my family. I came on family reunification with my kids, and my husband came on work visa.
I'm from Bangladesh, and I'm here almost, it's more than 3 years. I came here because of my husband have profession, and here.
As a consultant, my main responsibility is to walk the journey with them as a person on the move.
We listen, and if we can get a suggestion or can give them any information, we are trying to give that information, because without information, any kind of research is not possible.
So we are here to tell them our stories and then make them understand how things works for us, which is very different from what they have seen or heard.
How you feel or how you deal with the situation, how you start your life in a new country, and what you can do afterward. So yeah, we are actually, through our life, they are learning so many things, that the challenges we face.
They are just individuals with expertise, lived experience, knowledge. So that's the reason why, in fact, we chose to use the term consultants, because I think it's to basically say that their current lived experience as migrants is not who they are.
When I came to Portugal, things were really complicated in terms of obtaining some documents, your identification number, your finance number and stuff. Renting a place was really difficult. It was really a challenging task to do. You have to pay around 2-3 deposits and some advance rents and stuff like that. And still even after paying all that, you still have to have certain documents, which we didn't have in the beginning. I was like searching for jobs for almost 7 months. But luckily I was with my daughter. So my daughter get job right away, I think within 2 months. So it was like with one salary, we were managing somehow. The biggest difficulty, I must say, the first thing, which is obtaining the finance number, the NIF number. Like you have to have 2 Portuguese people who can be your witnesses, and then you can obtain the NIF number, and everything start with that NIF number. You cannot start anything without that number. But the person who is like extremely new in a country, then how it is possible that that person knows somebody? Why someone would take your guarantee? Like where you find a people who can take your guarantee when you are new in the country? So that, I think that is the most difficult part, and that is most unusual part for me, that from where you find people who know you and who can sign for you when you are very new in a country. You just like come into the country 1 week before and you search for a people who actually know you. So that was the difficult part actually.
So our project is called Your Bridge, and in the end it's like a digital platform, and we created it to make it easier for migrants the process when they come to Portugal. It consists of like multiple prototypes, but our focus is your journey, and it's a step-by-step guide. It starts with the pre-arrival planning and it goes like until they find employment in Portugal. And what we want to do is we want to give them like the concrete steps and also like what to do, how to do it, and we reference like support organizations to make it less overwhelming and just to make the process more clear. What we are super proud of and what's really cool is that we were talking with LabX, and we will incorporate our work in a future service of them. So basically after the course finishes, we will hand over our project to them, and they will further iterate it, they will publish it on their website, and make sure it gets better and better, and finally helps migrants out there. And it's nice to see that it remains useful beyond the classroom.
Here we have no relatives or I have no friends like in Bangladesh. So it was very boring part for me, and I'm totally getting depressed because of this situation.
We did a lot of research on what makes people feel at home, and we learned that a big thing is food, because culture is shown so much through food. So our project is women migrant-made lunchbox subscription service, where we have migrant chefs prepare a lunchbox that people can sign up for to receive a subscription of a meal. And the goal of it is that we're trying to share the feeling of what feels at home and connect people through food in that way. We launched our first pilot where our first chef, Priya, made a lunchbox meal from India. And we gave out 5 free lunch boxes to people, and the interactions that we had to the people when we delivered them was so amazing, because they were like, oh my gosh, I love this food and I'm super excited about your initiative. And we feel that for our migrant chefs, the feeling of empowerment and the ability to share their culture is also something super impactful. And also maybe the people that receive the meals can also have this feeling of home through food. Maybe it's there. Maybe it has a nostalgic feeling for them.
It was very difficult for me. It wasn't something I'd planned for. I was comfortable. I was in a place in my life where I was comfortable and everything was going well for me. And so the first challenge was the language and the lack of a community. So arriving here, I did not have friends. I did not have family members except my husband and my children. And I also had never experienced winter. So all this combined were just put me in a place where I felt like I was in a box. I didn't know where to reach out and who to reach out to and how to reach out to where I needed.
I think here language is a difficult part here. I'm trying to learn and trying to say and trying to connect with people, because if we come a new country, then we have to know the rules. What we have to do. We have so I'm trying to actually learn and adapt in my own.
We tried to find solutions to overcome these language barriers, and we came up with a concept that actually goes around language, since we wanted to create connection between people through creating art together. So we did a workshop with different families and went to the botanical garden in Lisbon with them and created some games, for example a nature bingo, which the kids really enjoyed and did together with the parents, and also gave them the chance to create art together under certain themes like friendship. And yeah, witnessed a very great experience for our participants, gathered really positive feedback and felt like we could create a space, a low barrier intervention for people to actually foster dialogue and create real life connections apart from language.
Getting job is difficult, so I've been trying to get a job in Portuguese market. I have experience back in India, but it is not relevant in Portuguese market, so I have that bridge I have to cover up and get a job here.
Yeah, the job opportunities are quite limited and language is a requirement as well. And so for me as an immigrant, I still feel even in places where or job opportunities where transferable skills apply, there's no much flexibility when it comes to hiring. And it gets to a point where you now have to tailor-make your CV to Portuguese language, but now the challenge is when you go for the interview, it's in Portuguese. And then from there, that's the end of the job.
So our project is called New Roots, and it's centered around the theme of sustainable living. So the main question is, how can we help migrants and newcomers in Lisbon to actually provide for themselves? So what kind of opportunities can we maybe give them or help them to achieve to just make more money? And our project is about building small businesses from home. So essentially it's a workshop format where we, together with the Lisbon Project, invented a workshop to actually not only bring migrants and maybe business founders together and educate migrants in a business sense in that way, but also just to help them connect. So it's not only about technical knowledge, but also about social connection and really giving them that hope of, there is something possible, even if you might have a lot of adversity that is, in front of you. You're not really hearing back from employers or something. It's hard to get employment. But maybe you have an idea, maybe you have a skill, something you could turn into money. Maybe it's just selling something you cook from your home or something in that regard. So it's really about sparking hope and, giving them possibilities of different ways to make money and to feel, just they can achieve something to have impact.
I think that one thing we're missing in today's world is like the ability to imagine positive things and that things are possible. And so I think that what we're trying to do with the students is really imagine how can we repair or build new bridges in between different diverse communities through community-led change. And so that's really what I hope to be able to create with this course.
When we start this course, I think these kids who are studying here with us, they were unaware of the real situation. But slowly, gradually, now by this time they really understand what is happening, how things works, what are the real struggles we have. So I really feel good that at least they understand, because this is a new generation. Maybe tomorrow these people will go to some higher places and they have the ability to make changes.
You know, at the end of the day, you know, it could be about a program, a product, a service, but what I'm really trying to get at is students to start asking questions and having conversations.
There are so many things that we thought we knew, but apparently we don't, because it's more complex than what we thought. That's number one. But the second one, it's also not as complex as we thought, because sometimes we are overthinking things.
I vividly remember one of the very first classes where we had like our primary research sessions and where we talked to the consultants in depth for the very first time, and they shared their stories. And that was really a moment where I personally understood how privileged I am and how different, you know, perspectives on life can be. It's not only about talking and about doing something and about putting something into the world, but also about listening. And that's even more important, because before you draft your story, because you test your prototype, you have to understand what the real needs are in that world. That's also what makes this course very special, that the connection to the real world and to the practical things we can apply is way different than in a solely theoretical class.
I think it's important to remember that most people aren't trying to take advantage. They're just trying to have a safe place to live, and they also want to participate in society just as we do. I think a lot of times it's super overwhelming, and for me to be exposed to this organization through this course has been really valuable, because it inspires me to want to work for organizations like that in the future. I think they have a lot of impact on making people feel just more accepted and more comfortable, and I think that is super valuable for people.
The knowledge makes sense only when it's put in practice, and so working with organizations like Lisbon Project, who, you know, see the problem every day in and out, is going to be the only way for them to do that.
This partnership was a testament to relationships, and that's what Lisbon Project believes in. We believe in community and people getting to know one another, connecting with one another.
But I think that more deeply what it created is a mutual understanding and conversation and knowledge sharing at different levels, which I think is the most important. You know, we can teach a lot of things in our classes, but they have to be connected to the real world. And for me, when I have a consultant that sends me an email and say, hey, I have this idea that I'd like to share with the students, or hey, could we do something like that? This is success.